Hey, what's up? It's another episode of Watch You Strappin. These are not watch reviews, they're just quick wristwatch check of the day, whenever I got time, just for fun. And yep, and if I'll show something on a new strap option that's after I showed on its original OEM stock strap option, then yeah, that's basically how it goes. Anyways, this is a new one. The unboxing video should have been up by now. This is a JDM model only, so you gotta buy it from Japan or somewhere thereabouts. This is a Citizen Series 8 and model 830. I'm trying to think of the other reference now. NA1010-84X, something like that. It'll be in the description. I just got this. I'm still kind of learning it, but yeah, I just wanted to go with. I've been thinking about Citizen. I just wanted to go with something a little bit different that hasn't really been seen or done much before, and I figure this would be it. As I kind of explained in my unboxing video. I think typical for a first Citizen might be some sort of diver, or maybe even one of their chronographs, something Eco Drive usually. And they are nice, but I wanted something a little bit different. And when they announced this almost a year ago, this caught my eye. Well, not this one initially. First, I think I saw the more simplified version of this, which is a plain black dial, and I think they might have a white or silver one. I forget. And they've actually had out of the Series 8, they have a couple of different case designs as well. It's not just like this angular one, but going through the various models and variations, this one's the one that caught my eye the most, because just the photos is just show like what's going on with the dial. It's got all this like iridescent like teal and purple colors coming through, and I thought that was pretty interesting. And it is a hard watch to capture, because you kind of have to, my eyes it's a lot of subtleties in the colors, but they actually do pop up. But the angle that you have to get them and the quality of lighting sort of makes it tricky, because if you can catch it, it'll probably reflect a lot of light off of the crystal as well. So there's that. It's similar to maybe when you're trying to make like heat blued hands kind of show up and pop a little more, and you get at that right angle, but at the same time, once you get it to that angle, it can kind of wash itself out a bit from the glare coming off the crystal. And this does have AR coating too, and I suspect it's actually on both sides, because the crystal seems a little bit easier to smudge than I think most sapphire crystals generally are, and that's usually an indication that there's probably a coating on the outside as well. And I think for ultimate clarity, as much as possible, that might make more sense, especially since how domed this crystal is, as you can kind of see here, as well as it's, I think, a single dome. As you can see, heavy distortion, but it's actually pretty cool. You just catch that. It acts as a magnifier, which is, with all the detail that's on this dial, I think that really works pretty nicely, just to kind of make it pop and like just magnify all those variations that's going on in the dial. And of course, a lot of the case is actually high polish, except for you can see the top surface of the watch right here is vertical brushing. But on the rest of it, it is high polish. I wish they kind of had a little bit more brushing going on, but it's not bad. I'm not like feeling that it's too blingy or over the top. And this is a 40mm watch, just so you know. And because it's kind of an integrated bracelet design, it's not a true one. As I mentioned in the unboxing video, there's these lug end pieces that can come out in links. But overall, it's integrated pretty well, so it gives that look. But as such, with a lot of integrated bracelet watches, it tends to wear a little bit, like at least one size larger, maybe two, depending on the specific design. So this is 40, but I feel It probably wears and kind of visually looks closer to a 41, which is fine. I can pull off a 41, and I like the presence. It's pretty low profile. I think overall height is, I believe, 11.7 millimeters, and it does use. What's also cool about this, besides the design and JDM, you know, this you can only. It's a very unique piece, and that dial, which is basically mother of pearl disc that has like a black metal matrix, triangular matrix pattern or lattice, you can call it what you want, that's over that. And then on the bottom, the very bottom underneath the mother of pearl, is actually a metal plate. So yeah, so it's really a sandwich dial, and there's a lot of dimensions. You can see all the details in that chapter ring that goes around, and the indices, especially for the seconds, I mean the 5-minute markings. It's kind of like a syringe, but then it's got all these facets on the main bulk of it, right? Those metal parts. You can see. I'm trying to move it, and yeah, I mean there's just so much detail in this. What was I going into? I lost my chain of thought. Sorry. I like the way these are like screwed on crown guards. It's just got this pretty cool industrial look to it, which I like, and the angular motif of the watch gives it that industrial look even more, I think. Very AP Royal, but I don't think it's a copy of that at all. It's kind of its own thing, which is kind of cool too. And it's just if you can just capture, you just want to see those teals and purples, and so a little bit of pinks and, you know, greens, and maybe a hint of blue here and there. But it's just kind of, you know, the way mother of pearl works, it just kind of shifts around. Sometimes you get the teal or the greenish colors in one general area or a few, and then also the purplish pink hues in another. But as you move it, it's not always like that. It shifts a little bit around too, so you get a little bit of intermixture. I don't know, it makes it fun to look at this watch, to say the least. And it's using a relatively new movement, the 0950, which is a higher end movement. It's like you're usually used to the 9015s, 9039, 95S, which I think is basically the same thing as the 9039. Just I think one is an open heart version that you might use with an open heart, but they're both dateless. But anyways, those are your typical Miyota movements. This is a pretty new one. It's higher end. Should have pretty tight tolerances. It's stated to be -5 to +10 seconds, which is pretty good out of the box. That's much tighter than, you know, your standard Miyota and Seiko, and even some Swiss ETA movements too. 50 hours power reserve, 24 joules, 4 hertz movement, so 28,800 vibrations per hour. Anti-magnetic up to 16,000. I forget what the units are, but it's AEM. So it's should be a pretty solid movement. And so I think all in all, it's a very appealing package. And luckily, I mean, this came out about a year ago, so it's quite expensive then, I think, because they were almost 2,000. And some people still try to sell them for that, but I think they've gone down a bit. And so you can be had for maybe 13 or 14, depending, which is, you know, a lot better. You know, that's almost a $600, maybe even $700, depending what you're comparing it to, you know, drop from where they were originally. And for that, I think it's not bad. Anyways, this is the stock bracelet. It's a fold over with a dual deployment. Pretty comfortable. No micro adjusts, but it does have half links, as you can see, like right there. And I have one on this side, and I use my some of my other watches on the bracelet as a guide to knowing what size my wrist is at the time, so that, you know, if it fits like one of the other watches I already has set on the bracelet, then I know that when I go size this, it's going to work the same way, and I don't have to. There's little guesswork there, and it's you know, less back and forth of having to remove or add in another link. So that's why I reference another watch, and it makes it a lot more surefire to just hit the sizing right the first time. And I pretty much got that down pretty good. And it is a pin collar system. Can be a little bit of a tiny pain when you're trying to tap it back in and line up the outer hole with the pin that's trying to go through on the other side. Yeah, because sometimes it's just a little bit off, and so you might be trying to push or hammer it through, and it's not seemingly going through. But luckily these are all solid links, so there's no like separate pieces to them like that can separate the middle part from the outer parts, as some links are made. So even if you're tapping on the wrong spot, it won't start to separate the link like the way they're constructed as some other links. If you don't hit it just right and you're kind of tapping on the inside of the link, it'll start to make a gap and separate the links a bit. So no problem here, because it's all made in one piece and it's pretty comfortable. And on my less than 7-inch wrist here, I think it works fine. I mean, considering the lug to lug, I mean, there is females, but they don't bend down like all wrap around as much. But although the H link right below it directly does fold right in pretty fast. But it is 52 or 53. I mentioned it in the video unboxing. But again, you got to keep in mind that as long as it's formed right and the case and lugs do angle a bit down too, I don't really have much of any wrist gap on my less 6.9-inch wrist. For a 52 or 53 millimeter span, it's wearing quite nicely, don't you think? Anyways, that's about it. It's getting kind of long, so thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next.